Okay.
Can you all hear us now?
Yes, I can now.
Okay, sorry.
So, I would, it's especially interest to the May River Band because this is a major function, and a former band director at May River is at this contest judging national competition. Those judges either have the best the best seat in the house in the press box, or there are two judges actually on the ground watching the band. And the May River band, the freshmen and sophomores, have had personal contact with this gentleman. He was a band director 4 or 5 years ago, and he lives here because his wife's the primary breadwinner, and he took the job but resigned after he realized there was no future. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And I appreciate your interest. We by policy, don't respond to public comments during the meeting. But if you would please contact me, I'll give you a card. I would like to have you and I meet for coffee. Maybe give you some information.
Thank you,
About the process. If you contact me, my email is on
I
there,
understand.
and we'll figure out a place and time.
Thank you much.
Okay? Thank you.
And I understand totally the word I want to use is going to come up later in the meeting of freedom or.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
You bet. I need a motion to approve the October 18th, 2024 committee meeting minutes. I will second that motion. Any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Nay. Okay. The next item on the agenda is the monthly Board of Education budget. And put that up on the screen. And there we go. And you'll see that overall, our budget is at 26.3% expended, and we're more than over the first quarter, so we are under budget. Are there any questions or comments on the Board of Education budget? I went through it. I didn't see anything that is concerning at all. We're well under budget in all areas. So unless there's any questions from other board members that are on, Dr. Carr, do you have any comments?
No, happy to be with you. I looked at this the other day, so I'm so far so good.
Good. Mr. Dallas, do you have any comments on?
No, sir. A good achievement in terms of being on the target.
I think Ms. Boatwright is on. That's just, she's not on. Okay. All right. We'll go on to the next item on the agenda, which is the September 2024 Transparency Report. Okay. Put up this one first. Yeah, do you have it? Yeah. Okay. For the public, this is a consolidated report that shows all the expenditures to the fiscal year end. It is consolidated to show totals by major entities that do business with the district. As you'll see, the first one is the Tyco Fire and Security Management Incorporated, and total in that month of September, we spent $200,000 with them. This is all payable by check, and you see the check numbers and so on. Mr. Campbell, do you have any questions on this report? Mr. Carr, do you have any? Mr. Dallas, do you have any questions on this report?
No, sir, Mr. Chair.
Or Dr. Carr?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. I didn't have any questions. This is Mr. Smith just arrived. I didn't have any questions on that consolidation report. There's also, if you put up this report, it's another look at the $100,000 and over report. And this report is valuable, and it shows the difference between what we spent in September 2023 and what we spent last September 2024. There's 2 pages. We'll get that brought up here in a moment. There you go. Okay. Mr. Campbell, do you have any questions on this report? Dr. Carr, do you have any questions on this?
No questions at the present.
Mr. Dallas, do you have any questions on the report?
No, no, sir, Mr. Chair. I did note the MB Con, the significant increase, but it was explained in the commentary. So thanks for that.
Mr. Smith, do you have any comments on the report?
That is time ago.
Okay. Yes, I noticed that we have some increases, ABM industry, significant increase, but that's because of different maintenance services contract. And MBCon, as Mr. Dallas mentioned, that's just simply more construction going on with the new referendum. And the nutrition total went up a great deal. Could you give me a little reason why it went up? Actually, went up more than double.
That's because this is for the month of, the payments made in September were for the month of August, and August, he started school 2 weeks earlier. There were more days of
More days, more food, more cost. Okay, I got that. Our insurance, the second page, our insurance costs went up, and we expected that. Quackenbush Architects went up because they are the prime contractors on a lot of the new referendum going on, so that was expected. The SA teachers subs has gone up. Source for teachers, right? And our retirements costs went up, which we expected. Thompson Turner construction went up just a little bit, even though they have additional construction responsibility. Same with Trustmark voluntary benefits. We knew that was going to go up, and it has. And Thompson Turner has gone up because of more work. The Tyco Fire and Security Management was not paid for this time last year. And I have some questions on that when we get to it in the document. the big document, the micro view of our financial. So we'll talk about that. Yes, sir.
I got a question. In
Yeah.
terms of ESS going up, can we say why ESS is going up? Because I've had some phone calls recently about subs not getting paid from ESS. And so is that because they've sent us some bills lately or what that is? And is the finance department familiar with that?
We process their payments, as soon as we receive them, we have a review process, so we do have to match up a number of items. This to me looks like two bills were paid for 2 months, the bills were paid for in the same month. So perhaps one at the very beginning of the month and one at the very end of the month. So, any ideas on that?
Same what you made with food service. We started school earlier this year too, which will increase, for that. But yes, also, some of the, increases, we redid the contract with ESS for September starting. So the rates did increase when we went back out for bid. ESS was awarded again, but again, anytime that comes out with a bid, we can expect rate increase with that as well.
So they're not on our payroll, so these folks are on the contract payroll. So if you have people coming to you that are subs that are not getting paid, we need to contact the contractor and see if there's a problem. And I'd like you all to do that. Give them a call, find out, ask them, are you having a problem with your payroll? Because we've heard some complaints that subs are not getting paid.
Is there a particular location that was at?
That's several locations. I've heard some from not just from Helena. I've heard some from Beaufort, and I've heard some from the Bluffton area as well. As the lady at ESS that they were not getting paid, and that there were some people were clocking in on their phones, and that was the normal thing, and that they were not getting paid, and they were unaware of that. That staff was not getting paid about 2 and 3 weeks, 2 and 3 checks behind. So that's pretty serious. I was wondering if we not paid them on time or what was going on. And that's why when you said that we paid them a large amount, I was wondering, okay, well, maybe they get paid because we didn't pay them. So I'm just trying to understand.
I'll work with Ms. Walton, who manages that contract, and we'll get this information.
Good, appreciate it.
Okay, let's go to the next item, which is the transparency report. Mr. Campbell, do you have any questions on that?
No, I don't.
I don't imagine our online folks had a chance to go through it. It's 84 pages, but I did. So I'm going to go through my normal thing. First of all, I want to mention Amazon purchases. In September, we made 538 individual purchases from Amazon. Staples was about the same number, from invoice number 163 to 701. Now, I want the public to understand that we always try to use local vendors for our product, for our purchases when we can. But can you imagine the productivity increase for our staff and faculty when they use Amazon? They can just simply put the item that they desire and it comes right up. They don't have to go from store to store to see if it's there or whatever. So the productivity advantages of using Amazon and Staples, for example, are huge. And also what I would want to put on the record though, Amazon and Staples often have similar products. I would like to make sure that the district is doing some comparison shopping for costs between Amazon and Staples. That's just a simple click to be able to see if they could get it from Staples for cheaper, and they ought to do that. Okay. So that was one thing that I mentioned I saw there. On page 15, Apple computer, we paid $6,291.60 to elementary schools for Apple. And that's, when I go through this, I look for unusual things. And that was unusual, and the price was identical for all of the elementary schools, $6,291.60. So would you ask technology to send me an email and to the other members of the board here of what that was? Okay.
Typically, Apple products are used in the younger than
Right.
second grade.
That's why I
They want
anticipate
to-
that.
So that will most likely be, but yes, I will contact you.
Okay. Page 17 and 18. This is kind of another one for the operations committee, Mr. Dallas. Is when I look at that, page 17 and 18 is Beaufort Water and Sewer Authority.
Uh-huh.
And I'm looking at Ladies Island Middle School. Their bill was $6,581. Well Branch's bill was $10,543. When I go through this, I look at who the vendor is. Then I go and look at the cost, the price that we paid. And when I see outliers, in Beaufort Jasper Water and Sewer, or Ladies Island Elementary, or Ladies Island Middle School and Will Branch High School. So I'd like the operations committee to look into that and see if we have an operations issue that's causing those water and sewer bills to be far and exceed the rest of the schools.
Yeah, Colonel, Mr. Chair, we definitely have added a process check that will be taking place in future reports where the ops group will be reaching out to finance to review these, specifically those that appear to be out of the norm. So absolutely, we take that on, and that was triggered by your raising this point in a prior meeting, and so we wanted to make sure we respond. So no problem whatsoever. We're on it.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Dallas. Next item is page 31. I go through this and I look, this is employee reimbursement. Okay. And we had a lot of them. But number 1588 and 1589 on page 31, employee reimbursements, $955, and that says school board. And that's twice, two payments, exact same amount, $955.48. Is this a double entry? Do you know about this, Robin, what this could be?
Oh, that's a conference.
So for both of you.
For both of
Ed? All right. That makes sense. Good. Yeah, right. Got it. Okay, good. Page 43, when I see Board of Education money spent, I can always look at that, see what that is all about. Page 43. I look down and of course I look at the vendor and I saw the Boat Right Group. I said, uh-oh, we have a conflict of interest. But then I looked at it a little further and I saw it's for raccoon trapping. I'm pretty confident that Ingrid Boat Right is not involved in that. It's number 43, yeah.
Number's not gonna match it.
Oh, okay.
What was the vendor's name?
Boat Right Group. Raccoon trapping. Okay, page 44, and I'll give you the invoice numbers 2175. This is an activity bus for it's May River High School. $174,135 in capital fund. Now, I understand that's a capital investment, but I had no idea that our activity buses cost that much.
You've been slowly, replacing those buses over the few years. The lead time is anywhere from 9 months to 18 months, depending on production. And of course, how anything can affect production. But we do go out for bid for those, and we take the lowest bid with the specs that we require for those activity buses, and that's a competitive price.
Okay. Kind of got my interest because I received an email from somebody, a vendor, saying we ought to be buying electric buses. And I basically sent back to him and said, well, our school buses are all paid for by the state. But they are yellow buses. I said, I don't know, what the state, you contact the state to do that. I said, activity buses, we may look at it, but I don't know. That's no obligation for us to look at it, but I just want to let you know that there are some people that want, and they say there's a grant that you can get it for a better price. So I wanted the procurement to kind of be aware of that. There might be a grant opportunity. We might be able to get an electric bus for less.
Something you think about when you go electric is you have to build electric charging stations across the county, so multiple places. And then they have to have electric charging stations from here to Charleston or here to wherever
whatever their range is.
The range is. So they have to arrange for a charging there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, there's a lot
time frame to do it with.
Yeah, right.
But just one slight, the state does pay for the majority of our yellow buses, but we bought 40 buses, yellow buses, several years ago. It's almost been, I would say, almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And so they are coming due for, we are looking at potential replacement in the next few years, or a series of them over time. So I believe that Mr. Auding, he manages that, but that is, we did a lease purchase. They're fully paid for, but that is something that is going to be a need in the future.
It's very interesting because I was under the impression that the state purchased. I didn't realize that
I think
They-
we have
they
over
purchased them?
100, but
Yeah.
40 of them are ours.
interesting. Okay.
Just to go back to the question about, you were talking about our activity buses, we got talking about the activity bus, I kind of missed that, I was reading.
So we have, I'm not sure the number that we have, but we are slowly replenishing those each year as well as they age. So we purchased an activity bus this year for Hilton High School. And it was a cost of $174,000. That is the cost of those buses. The yellow buses don't cost quite as much as these, but it was competitively bid, and that was the lowest bid.
And then also, my question would be to that, is how do we decide where the bus goes at?
That would be a question for Mr. Auding.
Okay.
So each school already has allocated buses, and they're taking, I believe, the oldest and replenishing the oldest, and the ones with most miles and that sort of thing. That would be my thought process behind what they're doing, but any additional information, we would have those details.
Okay.
Okay. Dr. Carr, your hands up.
Yeah, I'm maybe going a different direction with this, but often a late day bus to take kids home after the regular buses run for athletics or after school projects or other things is called the activity bus. And these could be running from multiple schools. And so my question is, would this be a cost that is different or above and beyond what the regular costs for busing students to and from school is? I'm just asking the question for maybe anybody's clarity.
Reasons when we replaced GAP for activity bus, and I hope this answers part of your question. Each activity bus, the older ones, had different wrappings, paint schemes to represent the schools. And when that occurred, you couldn't put a well-ranged team on a Hilton Head bus and run them back and forth. Not only is it just not a morale booster for a team and using each other's activity buses when they broke down. So part of this initiative with replacing, all the buses are the same. They say Beaufort County School District on the side, they're darker in color. So if one school needs two activity buses because they have two major sports teams traveling at the same time, whether it's to state or to Ridgeland or somewhere else that they're going that's far, and if they don't have a bus available because of the routes with children getting to and from school anyway, they can use these buses at different schools. So they're readily available to everyone.
Okay. So it's a separate fleet.
Yes.
Got it.
But I am in favor of what you said, Mr. Carr. I do think that this is something that we possibly should send to the operations committee because there is an issue going on with these buses. And I'm not sure that the juice is worth the squeeze in terms of the quality of the buses versus regular buses, because it's not as though they are actual charter buses. In terms of the price being differently, I'm not sure that we get more bang for our buck. So I think that is definitely something that we should possibly send to the operations so that we can weigh that and understand what we're actually getting for what we're spending in terms of the same question here in terms of technology. I think that's something that we should send to operations.
Mr. Dallas, is that okay with you?
Was that to me?
Yes.
Oh, no. I understand. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Next item was page 45. I see Kona Ice is, I got $3,270. So, I just noticed that. Page 79. And goes to page 80, the invoice numbers are 3942 and 3979. Fire and security. This is this new outfit that's in there. Page 79.
The Tyco Fire and Security.
Yes.
Center.
Yes. And so they came in and did a lot of work. And when I saw all the work, and I'm sure they're doing a good thing, but then I see two schools, actually three schools, they did a lot more work, and that is Bluffton Middle School, May River High School, and Pritchardville. And these are correct deficiencies in annual report.
Yeah.
So we must have had in those three schools a heck of a lot of deficiencies because they are 2 and 3 and 4 times more than even similar schools of their size.
I will let Mr. Otting speak to the schedule and the discrepancy or the
Yeah, well,
content with school.
yeah,
But
I just want to make sure that operations committee knows about this because this is an operations issue.
I can explain a small
But
portion
you can
of it to
explain,
help out, yes.
Yes,
If you notice the descriptions, the ones that are labeled IFB 23-002,
mhm,
those are for our services for our annual inspections, and they're
Okay.
all schools are on rotation. We can't
Right.
inspect all the schools at one time. So typically, this doesn't make the $100,000 report because it doesn't go over that. But all the work orders that were done were issued probably during the inspection, and so all of those had to be corrected during their annual inspection. So now it's all compiled with their regular inspection and the repairs that had to be made based on the contract. But absolutely, I would definitely divert to Mr. Otting for more details.
yeah, I think that's an operations committee issue that they, and kind of, May River High School is one of our newest schools. and we had $61,000 that we had to do in that school. That's a little concerning. Well, that's an operations piece. Mr. Dallas, if that's all right with you?
I absolutely, totally agree. And one of the things we had discussed is that there being a calibration meeting and review of financials between ops and finance going forward, so that we can have ready answers for you, which your questions are very appropriate, and thank you for that. So we can have answers when these things pop up already for you, sir. No problem.
Thank you. Lastly, fraudulent charges is the last entry on there. We normally have a couple, 3 or 4. This time we only have one fraudulent charge. It was a student activity thing for $2.17 at May River High School. So that just tells me that our fraud abatement program seems to be working pretty well. But all of these transactions that we do, a lot of them on P cards and so on, we only had one issue. And it's for student activity, so, who knows how that came about. But for $2.17, I can buy that kind of a heirloom. So that's good. All
I
right.
do have a question.
Yes, sir.
On page 17, there were some legal fees.
With the item
What
number.
is item
Yeah, I'm gonna get to it in a second. Yeah, item number is 7, I believe it is, excuse me, page 19, correction, page 19.
What's the invoice number?
It's 1035 to 1040. And my question is, what kind of attorney billing is this? And also, how are we, I've asked questions before about seeing all legal bills, and I don't remember seeing stuff like this right here. And we have a lot of attorney fees. And what pocket are these fees being paid out of?
These are being paid out of the maintenance budget, which is not maintenance services, but it is a legal fee out of Mr. Audie's facilities and operations division. So any legal matters that he deals with are typically have to do with land, like easements or land purchases or land sales, that sort of thing. So those are the types of things that are he is billed for legal service.
And how are we able to track these? Because I've asked for all legal fees before, and I don't believe I've seen stuff like this. And so that was a kind of a red flag for me, because I've asked for all legal fees that the district have paid in general, from outside or inside. And I don't remember seeing that. So therefore, that means that to me, to my knowledge, then that was not on the form that I requested. Because I don't remember ever seeing these type of legal fees. So how
I didn't see that request, so I don't know what was requested and.
We haven't asked for that for a long time.
Right, but my point was when I did request it, that time, I never see this right here. And so my point is that this is not the first time after she described what these fees are, those fees were not a part of that report that was generated. So
Can I?
Sorry. But I when I asked for that, I didn't ask for it just a month. I've asked for a particular year period. My period went from 1 year to another year and these fees were not in there. And so that's where the concern comes in at. Because I asked for all legal fees, and these are legal fees here as well.
Whenever, if, is now? Okay. Yeah, so Mr. Smith is right. He did request the legal fees, and I think, Attorney Cartledge provided that. The document I recall was that it was in reference to Mr. Smith's request for internal as well as external, legal fees, and I think that was provided. I think what's happening here is this is a much more detailed report, and we're getting into specifics where I think that report included more of the headlines of the grouping of the various legal fees. So I think that's where the discrepancy is getting in. But as noted here, we're seeing all of the legal fees that are basically charged to operations. I think it's in column 5 or 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So you see operations and maintenance, and so those that require legal work. An example is when we're getting an easement or something like that. We're trying to be very thorough, so we do request that legal support and oversight.
Not all the beyond that detail, but you got was first determined total amount that was paid for firm covers operations, they cover our lobbyists, they cover other things. So the reports that Mr. Downs is talking about, you receive the report of all internal and external, but you did not get in detail of which firm it was for this easement, firm it was for lobbying. You just got the names of the companies inside and outside. That was the report that you received.
But I think that I requested it to be breakdown as what is on here. But that's possible. I will go with what my colleagues have said. And but to me, in the future, this is more in line of I'm asking for fees so I can understand exactly where the fees are going for and what the fees are exactly going to, because this is more detailed. I think this is more appropriate to understand what I'm asking for.
And then, so that's how they come this way in the transparency.
I mean, I understand there's a discussion, but when I'm asking for a period of time, whether it's 1, 3, or 4 or 5 years, I'm trying to understand how much money we're spending and how much money we're utilizing for certain services, and to have to go through and look for it is different versus having it all factual there that's been provided by staff, and basically all the evidence and everything is there. You can make a more sound decision based upon how we're spending taxpayers' money. That's all.
We can address your issues.
Thank you.
All right, the next item on the agenda is the first quarter financial report. Roger.
This report is for the months July, August, and September of 2024. So the quarter ended September 30th. First quarter, as you can see, local tax revenue is very small, considering we are waiting on tax billing to occur in October, November. Majority of those tax bills will go out by then, and revenues will start streaming in at the end of mid-December and January. So we are collected at 5.9 million or 2.7% as of this point in the year. Prior to the year, collections were a little higher at 3.2%, which makes sense because last year we did have an excess at the end of the year, so we under projected our revenues a bit in the prior year. So that tells us that we're more in line with our projections here. Tax anticipation note was not issued this year. We were able to increase the fund balance at June 30th enough to sustain the 20.1% fund balance, and we will not require a tax anticipation note to cover the cash flows in right now. Actually, is the lowest point in the year. right before the billings come in December. State revenue is, we collected about 16 million or 12% at the end of the first quarter. Last year was just slightly less at 11.4%. And our expenditures in the general fund are $62 million or 17% of the budget. Last year was this year 17.4, last year 17.6. The reason for 17 versus the 25% is that, so 25% would say we're a quarter of the way through the year. Well, new teachers or all teachers begin their first paycheck in the middle of August. So actually, I think it was moved up a payday this year because they started 2 weeks earlier. So only payday or two in August shows, and then the 2 or potentially 3 in September will show. So the others follow are accrued back. The July, any payments in July, which would be the summer when teachers have already earned their all of their wages by the end of the school day, in June, we accrue anything paid out to them in July back to the previous fiscal year. So you're going to see small numbers right now, as in 17%, but there is a large, very large expenditure in June because of multiple paydays, additional through the summer months there. So special revenue funds, we've received and expended about 20% of those. Prior year expenditures were a little less. Federal ESSER expenditures in the first quarter amounted to 2.1 million, and those are fully expended. All of the $74 million that we were allocated about 3 years ago, and 100% of the dollars have been spent. And so we will not be providing in this today's report an ESSER expenditure report because they're all fully expended. So those we are fully complete there. Debt service fund, we're right on track at $1.8 million local tax collections. And capital projects, we have outstanding 8% projects are 59.3% complete, and 2019 referendum is 99.6 paid and encumbered. As reported last night at the clock and at the board meeting, is the previous evening, and 2023 referendum are just getting started, but we've already signed some contracts and encumbered 24% of those projects. So things are in very good shape at this point in the year. I see nothing concerning, and we are looking forward to see what the next couple of months show us in tax revenue. The next quarter will be very informational as we begin to see the tax revenues come in.
Thing I look at quarterly reports is bottom lines. The bottom lines you see, go back up. You see expenditures. Bottom line is we've spent in the first quarter 12.6% of our budgeted expenditures, and 25% of the year has gone by. So we are under where we should be at. That's normal because of the start of the year and because of starting in August and so on. But so it doesn't really show a lot of July. So when I went through this all, basically I looked across the line, and if you scroll down some of the other pages, and I looked bottom line in each of the major program areas, you'll see 16%, 15%. The only things I look at, and if you go to page 9, International Baccalaureate is at 31.5. That's not tremendously over, but is that a front-loaded expenditure?
Yes, sir. See,
Yeah.
Those are the IB fees and licenses that we have for the IB schools.
Right.
So they are paid upfront. And likely we'll have some more at the mid-year point.
Right. All the other ones and other pages were under budget. The next one was on page 12. Career Specialist Services, 185%. This is a small budget item, but 189.9%. What's going on
So
there?
this is actually, we're just beginning to use this code. I think it's been in place for many years, but we always kept coded career specialists in our guidance department. So it looks like we need I believe what we're probably seeing here is budgeting for a locality supplement of $1,500 increments. So we'll go take a look at that specific expenditure to see what's hitting there. And we're looking to begin to shift those career specialists that are not already, some guidance counselors are career specialists as well. They have a certification, but there are some that are not guidance counselors. So I think it's probably in our best interest to shift those staffing away from the guidance department into this area. So we might just need a little cleanup there.
This is only $12,800. So I mean, it's not a huge amount, but it catches my attention when I see that.
It goes right in line with the guidance
Right,
services
exactly.
in that category. So
Next item that is out is technology services and data processing, on page 17. They're at 32.8%.
software licenses is the first thing that comes to my mind.
That's what I figured. Okay. And general fund, that was all good. That service is in good shape. I go back to page 24, and I seem to go back to this every quarter. This is the student activity fund. And Hilton Head High School, $579,000 in the student activity fund. Lufton High School, $498,000. And that's been this way for some time. And to me, that's opportunity costs are being squandered. There are things that they could do. Sitting there in their budget, collecting a little interest, doesn't seem to be what I would do if I was the principal of that school. I'd find out what I could do for my students, and maybe an electronic scoreboard. Just thank you. But now here's the real question though. District office, $117. What do we have in that budget for the district office? Okay.
If you take a look at the beginning balance, we brought that beginning balance down from, it was over $1 million last year, we brought it down to $48,000.
Yeah.
So all that balance is what has been collected just this year. Basically.
Okay, so that's going to gradually increase.
Yes, what we will use it for is the repairs on the laptops. And also if there's any remaining funds, we'll use it for the bags, the protective bags. And then if there's still remaining funds, we would help offset the cost of any refresh of any new devices as well. So we brought that down through those three things last year.
Any questions on the report so far? I've got some questions on the 8%. Anything from Mr. Campbell? Do you have any questions on that? Mr. Smith?
Yeah, I so what all can they use these funds here on?
The
Individual schools.
These are collected from parents and students at the beginning of the school year for the technology usage fee, basically $20 technology. What those are used for is for the repairs of devices that are coming in. So if there is a breakage for a device, they use these dollars to repair screens, and then if we need to replace devices, we can use it for that as well. We also use it for the bags that the devices go in. And so we only use it for devices and the protection of the devices.
Can you answer a question about the activity fees in the different schools or just at the district level?
Actually, the activity fees
At the
at
different schools.
different schools.
Right, different schools.
At the different schools.
They are collected at the school and they are all swept up and moved to the district office for repairs.
Tanya, he wants to know about their schools.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was still in the devices. Well, it's probably a easier list to say what they cannot spend it on. So student activities can be used for, the general fund cannot be used for celebrations, balloons, flowers, those sorts of things for celebrations or acknowledgements, but these funds can be for staff appreciation. They could be for a student event. They could be field trips. They could. They are in the high school and middle school. There are clubs in these accounts. So football may have a club. Athletic may have. So you have a whole series of sports that are individually tracked. Cheerleaders, when they do a fundraiser, they put the money in that account and then they can spend those funds. So a number of academic clubs, athletic sports, bands would have an account. And so a prom or graduation or whatever other activities they have. So they're broken down between in small categories, and then each school has the discretion within our policies to be able to spend those dollars on those.
And for instance, of the whole, for instance, let's start a number. I want to particular school. For instance, if one school had maybe $700, then basically each club, well, certain clubs could have within that $700, they could maybe have $500, or they could maybe have $200. So is that what I'm understanding? So even though this is the total amount, this is the amount of the school, but not the amount of different clubs.
That's correct. Back and forth. It's not money from the football team.
Right.
Chess club to give to another beta club.
Right.
So those are basically restricted into their own categories of who's raising the money and who it belongs to,
Right.
who has the discretion to spend those dollars. There are some funds in there that do have some discretion at the school level. For example, if they have a vending machine in the staff break room and they earn money from that, they can put that and have some discretion to maybe use it for staff appreciation or for other purposes. There may be a renting the building would go in their student activity funds, and they would have the discretion of how to spend those funds, the staff and the principal leadership. So some have a little bit of flexibility, others do not.
And I'm not going to hold us up today with this, but this is a very interesting topic because we have a lot of people that ask me these questions, and who kind of I don't know if they're been seeing this, but they say, well, I've seen something on the website, something to the district has this kind of money. I'm not going to lie. I've been lying. I've been saying that. I don't know what you see that. I don't think that's true, but I think to some degree they possibly could be correct. But I just realized that I need to educate myself on this and realize how that works, because if that's the case, then they do bring up some good points. So I think that having this kind of possibly breakdown, but having this going into understanding this a little, and I appreciate how you've broken down and describing, because you've definitely given me some insight, and I've definitely learned some stuff today. But I just kind of like to understand this a little bit more at another time if we could. I'm not going to hold on that today. Thank you for that.
Mr. Dallas, do you have any questions, comments?
No, I just want to follow up on what Mr. Smith said, and that this is a very healthy process. And thank you for posing the questions along with Mr. Carr, Mr. Smith, and others who have, tried to drill deeper into the numbers. and it's very healthy, and it sort of helps us identify where to look. So, thank you for all of this, and thanks for everybody for responding. Thank you.
Dr. Carr, do you have any comment?
No specific comments, but this is helpful, and I think it's a good, healthy discussion to continue. Thanks.
Let's go to capital projects. This really, Mr. Dallas, this is something that's always been in my bonnet about closing out capital projects. And when I look at, go to the first one on page 26. There's just little things on this that could be closed out. And it's just no excuse. And I'm getting really tired of bringing this up like at least once a year, saying, get these projects done. And I think we just don't become I hate to use the word, but a hard ass, I'm going to use the word anyway, with these contractors and these subs to get the invoices in and close these things out. We're a lot better off than we used to be. We used to have about 7, 8 years worth of this, but we still have items from 2021 that are still open. That's unacceptable. And I know that you're aware of this. This really frustrates me when I see that it's little things that aren't being done and it's not our fault, but I think it's our fault in that we don't have a close to zero defects mentality for contract execution by our contractors. So, your comments, sir.
I think you and I are in total agreement on that. In the world, as leaders, we don't get what we expect, we get what we accept. And for too long, we have accepted excuses from our contractor partners, and there were some process deficiencies that were not in place. And now what's happening is we've amended those gaps. Not all of them. We're still moving forward on some of them. The team is aware of the no excuse, no explanation policy, and we're trying to be very polite about that. But ultimately, we pay these companies a lot of money. We pay them on time. We use them repeatedly, and the price for them enjoying that type of rapport with us and long-term engagement with us is they have to deliver on time. And our term is we like to see processes and projects executed with fidelity and precision consistently. And I think it's more of a mindset. You've been in some of our meetings where this has been a passionate topic of mine as well. So I take no offense whatsoever about what you are highlighting. I share that with you. And we'll continue moving it forward with tact and diplomacy, but with firmness and resolution to get it done.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Carr, do you have any comments?
Now, just I echo, I just for time's sake, I agree with both of you. I echo both of you. I echo both of your comments.
Campbell? I know you've been fighting this for 34 years.
Yeah, I still, sure, I told Mr. Dallas about it. The greenery, that's the grass in the schools are not doing the job. And we got the whole, the fire for the money because it's ridiculous. You come around, this cut right around the edge of the fence where you can see it, but you don't move it in. Mr. That's supposed to be going.
Yeah, right. Well, we need to continue to tighten this up. And the reason this is important is because each of these projects has a contingency fee in them. And when they're not closed out, we can't release the contingency fee so that we can reduce what we have to borrow the next year. And that's, again, I hate to use the word again, opportunity costs. It's an opportunity for us to lower the amount we have to have taxpayers pay for every year, because we got these folks sitting on these contracts and not completing them, not getting the paperwork. And as far as I'm concerned, every contract we give that asks for services rendered, we should have a date that says, you will close out this contract by this date, and if you don't, you pay a penalty every month until you do. That's the only thing that will get their attention. Because otherwise, it's, well, okay, I understand you have a problem. No, I don't understand you have a problem. Get this thing done, get your paperwork in. And they're playing us. Because what some of this is they don't want to be paid. They don't want to have it closed out because they want to shift that revenue to another fiscal year. Because it's a tax advantage for them. I don't care about their tax advantage. I don't care. And every time I see this in the quarterly report, it just frosts me. So we'll work on that.
Hey, Chad, Mr. Chair, if I could respond to that, I totally agree with you. And some of the steps that have been proactively taken in the last few months is some of the projects were not closed out and liquidated damages not inserted into the contract previously was because we didn't put dates in for completion. In the most recent RFQs, you'll see there are dates for start, there are dates for midterm reviews, and the dates for completion. Also, it's been an insertion of liquidated damages, and so it becomes very either you do or you don't. It's not a discussion. It's not an explanation. We don't have time for that because let's go back to 2019 referendum. That referendum has $31 million outstanding in payments that we've already committed for. We're ready to pay them, but the projects haven't been closed out. And so we absolutely 1,000,000% are in agreement with you, but we are moving on this very aggressively. And again, no explanations, no excuses are worthwhile. People just got to execute to the level expected.
I was going to say, I do agree that. I think so. So I think also some of it is really is unfortunate. It's to their advantage and to our detriment, and that's the pain of knowing and continuously having us dragging us along, and we have kids that and staff that are getting the short end of the stick continuously.
Yeah, Mr. Smith, if I can respond to that. In life, again, I go back to if you're leading an organization, you get what you accept. I cannot fault someone else for taking advantage of me. It's up to me to behave and respond in a way that there's some pain for them trying to do that and thinking they're going to be successful. For me, in terms of contractors, it means that if the contractor now will be tracked on their performance, and if they cannot perform, we've already had discussions with the operations group that goes into the RFP bid process so that is noted. And we should not have any contractor, partner, business partner being brought into the BCSD family if they cannot perform to expectations, because that damages our image. And as Mr. Smith religiously notes, that gets out there and people think we're not doing what we should do. So totally agree. I think there's unison in saying this is an issue that has to be corrected, and I'm very comfortable it will be.
Recording stopped.
ACE financial update. We don't have a folder.
We do not have a document. I wanted to provide the most current information available. So, and as of yesterday, we received a final, or not a final, but a preliminary draft from the ACE auditors, which is Manley Garvin. New auditors this year. They're doing a great job. A little expensive, but we may be looking at some other opportunities there. So, however, as of this date, there are no audit findings in that report. So it does have a sheet, a page near the back that lists any, if there are any deficiencies or major discrepancies of any kind, any findings, and there are none. Satisfactory, and they will be issuing an unmodified or clean opinion. We are in the stages. We are actively reviewing the Beaufort County School District audited draft. As soon as we get a little ahead of schedule or ahead of ourselves, got a couple things that they need immediately in order to issue our draft, we can get on and do the final reviews for the ACE draft. Katie Abar is in charge and is doing a great job of the ACE audit. So and I saw the auditors at my state conference meeting last week, and they raved about her. And so I passed those compliments along to her. So everything is in good shape there. We will be looking to try to negotiate to bring down the cost of next year's audit or look at other alternatives. So there is a board meeting, ACE board meeting next week on Wednesday. I have a conflict and will not be able to be there. I'm going to be at the State Department of Education that day. And so I have passed along the budget report, and Mr. Lavecchio will be just providing that information. If there are any questions, feel free to email me. I just wanted to give you a brief preview. There is one particular issue that he will be bringing up, and that is a large water heater or boiler. So there were recent inspections at ACE, and as we all know, we have major facilities needs. Well, the latest one is a water heater and boiler that serves both the culinary classroom and the kitchen, and they do not have hot water, and they have been cited by DHEC for 4 violations. So we got on it very quickly and have committed their general fund dollars as of now to spend on this purchase of a hot water heater, which is $136,000. So they have to pull out the old one, replace the new one, and reconnect propane lines, I believe, or some kind of gas line. So when we pay for capital improvements at ACE, our obligation is 50-50. But when you pay for it with the general fund dollars, it becomes a 2/3, 1/3 allocation because we contribute 2/3 to the operations. So there will be requests coming forward for both Beaufort and Jasper to put in a 50-50 split to fund these with capital improvement dollars, which the board has already obligated some funds for that. I believe ACE, Jasper obligated $1 million in their current year budget. So we're hopeful that we can use that to ultimately pay for this 50-50. Otherwise, it has to be done. So there's no question about it, or they will close down those areas, and that is not something that we can have. So I just want to give you a preview of that so that you'll have an idea of what he's talking about on Wednesday night. But that's just, it's not the beginning of our capital improvements. We've been piecing things together for a while now. But fortunately, Jasper County School District's referendum passed. And there is money in their referendum, I'm told, for capital improvements at ACE. So it just may take a little bit to flow the cash to flow and to move. And I have some ideas on how we can manage that financially.
We might have to pay, help paying in advance, paying their share in advance. I know we have to have a memorandum so we get paid back, but we got to get that.
Or perhaps we could at least obligate the $1 million that they have and the $1 million we have to begin to get started, and that can be part of the match equally.
Mr. Chair, can I sort of just weigh in a little bit on that one as well? Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I think it should be noted that by Beaufort County having discussions about, basically setting aside and being committed to making improvements as they are needed, I think our colleagues on the Jasper board heard that, and they felt compelled to push the referendum again and also say that they could set aside that $1 million. So as opposed to them, not saying that I heard this, but as opposed to them potentially in the past having felt like they didn't have the funding, one of the things is Jasper County and Hardyville in particular is going to be in the top 15 largest cities in the state of South Carolina within the next 7 to 8 years. And they have a lot of growth. And that has been conveyed to them. So rather than thinking about what their past has looked like, start sort of looking forward into the future and see you're going to have some significant revenue streams and your educational facilities need to represent that very bright future. So glad to hear that the referendum passed and also that there's support and understanding that, as you said, we need to move forward with repairing this. It's unseemly for kids to come in and essential machinery doesn't work. So glad to hear it and thanks to everybody.
Dr. Carr, do you have anything on this?
No, good conversation to sort out that there are things that are impacting not just Beaufort County, but I'm sure we'll get it worked out so everybody benefits. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Okay, last item is future topics. Do you have some future topics that you need to bring up?
The food services.
OE 18?
18.
OE 18.
And the a stipend presentation that was requested by Mr. May.
Okay. So, Mr. Campbell, do you have anything? Mr. Smith, do you have anything? Mr. Dallas, do you have any future topics for the finance committee?
Yes, sir. Not for the immediate future, but we teed up some work that Mr. Otting has been doing in terms of water usage, better calibration on that and understanding where the anomalies are. The HVAC in particular, and the HVAC in particular will probably be more suited for a work session. So we can start planning how we're going to handle the R22 and the R410A being taken off of the market so that we don't run into a cash crunch in the later years. We've also asked Mr. Otting to step back and over the next year, really do a rigorous review of our energy consumption. So maybe there's some innovative things that are happening out there with all the technological improvements. And we also have suggested to the operations department that they take board members on a tour, which he did with me, and I was shocked. God and everybody knows I'm not a technology person, but I do understand the concept of saving money and increasing output. There are some things that have been done, and I think knowing that those have been done and that is, portends good things for what might be discovered. But just wanted to highlight those last two as something into the distant future, Mr. Chair, for consideration.
Joint operations finance committee meeting at a different time to dig into those issues before we have a workday session.
Were you speaking to me, Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Okay, could you repeat? I couldn't quite hear.
Would you consider a joint finance committee operations committee session where we
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
and work on those issues to kind of help set up for the work session at a future date?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Let's get our heads together at a different time and try to figure out a time to do that.
Consider it done, sir.
All right. Do you want to know when the date? Do you have something?
I was gonna say, that list that we were going over, maybe in the next, in the beginning of next year's time, maybe that would be a great topic to indulge into better understand that, and also with the new board members to be able to understand it as well. So yeah.
Student activity.
Student activity.
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of date are we looking at?
The joint or for our next meeting?
Now let's look at our next meeting and I'll sit down with Mr. Dallas. We'll try to figure out the timing.
Our next
12th? December 12th looks good to me. Is that okay for you? December 12th?
What is the board meeting?
The board meeting is December 10th.
I have a continuing education on the 11th of August.
Doesn't matter.
Out of town.
So December 5th,
We have a joint, SIC school board meeting
that's at 6.
at 6.
That's going to be south of the Broad. We don't have a location yet, but I mean, this meeting starts,
Yeah.
started at 1
1 o'clock.
At 1. Are we moving, we're going to move it to 1 o'clock?
So 1 o'clock on Monday, the 9th?
No.
Uh,
Thursday the 5th.
Thursday the 5th, that's right, Thursday the 5th. Finance at,
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
Right.
Okay. You got it. Anything else for the good of the order? Hearing none, let's adjourn by unanimous consent. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.